When people have done you wrong, and when narcissists know that you'll never come back, unlike being a responsible and accountable human, honest human being, they'll never be wanting to apologize. And they know that direct engagement will not be the ideal pursuit for them. Why? Because it will shatter their ego and it will also shatter the narrative and perception and confusion that they wanted you to live in. And in this video, I'll be talking about that. I'll be talking how weaponized silence is used to create a false narrative about you in society and in the social realm. And it's also a psychological warfare to your identity and your personality for reclaiming what you knew and what happened to you in the situation. So, for those who don't know, my name is Bianca. This is going to be a YouTube filled with honesty, clarity, and maturity. So if you're here, like again, using silence as a weapon to try create a narrative of reactivity, then this is not for you. I want to explain to you how narcissistic silence loves to rewrite your story and how it's important to recognize that when somebody has done you wrong and they know it and you know it, but they refuse to take accountability, they refuse to engage with you, they would rather lurk you, stalk your social media, be obsessed with you. And if you've gone through that notion of having somebody obsess constantly, stalk you, create smear campaigns against you, obsessively have other people watch you, then this video is for you. Because everything that I'm sharing, I have gone through it. And it's literally a thing that people do. They don't even realize they are narcissistic because they believe that they are right and you are wrong. But this is what people do who do not take accountability, who are not honest, and who cannot literally understand that they have been rejected because of their behavior and that there are consequences for treating people disrespectfully, unlawfully, and demonically. So let's talk about that and let's handle that in terms of what they will do. So, usually, what I've noticed is the conversation, you expressed yourself, you have felt emotionally distraught or betrayed by their actions. And what happens in that moment, instead of reflecting, there's a projection, there's a isolation, there's a silence, and there's a silence of defamation of your character. What happens is they instead of being a human being, what they'll do is they would react. I mean, they would retract. So what they do is they take away their support, they take away their information, or they take away their engagement. That's the word. They'll take away the engagement from you and watch you from afar, watch you like a hawk. And so what happens is you are expecting a maturity from somebody who cannot be mature. What they'll do is instead of understanding that, you know what, this needs to be a conversation of honesty and clarity, these people will obsessively obsess around you. They'll watch your social medias, they'll watch who interacts with you through the social media, they will watch who comes by your place and who is still engaged with you from a human perspective, which I find very sickening. They'll also recruit people. So if we are talking about somebody who knows they've done you wrong, but they cannot fathom that you are going to live your life without them, these are the certain tactics that they will do. And because from an individual perspective, they cannot handle that you will no longer want to be in direct contact with them, this is where they will create smear campaigns to recruit other people to lie according to your identity, to lie according to what happened in the experience, and exaggerate how you're reacting from the abuse. And oftentimes, what I've noticed is whenever you're reacting from an emotional and human healthy perspective, that becomes a weapon of them using that against you by expressing, look how she posted on social media. Oh, that post is for me. Look how she's acting here. Or look how she doesn't have a job there. There's constantly a tracking of your day to day habits, a tracking of your day to day activities, a tracking of your, how are you making money? How are you not making money? Who's there to support you? Who's not there to support you? And this within itself is psychological warfare. And it's also withdrawn, or let's say weaponized silence that is used in society and used by people like this to make sure that their silence and their extraction of support or honesty is somehow trying to affect your way of reality. So, if you've been through this, I'm sure you will understand how traumatizing this can be and how exactly that is what they want. They want you to feel traumatized by their silence. They want you to feel traumatized and humiliated by the fact that you will not accept less than what you deserve. And instead of coming into a situation of clarity within months, they use time. They use time as a study to watch you over the years. And they look at points at where are you at your lowest so that I can penetrate and come to you and speak to you at a moment of your transition in life. So, this is something I need to express to you. It's very important if you have been through psychological warfare, if you've been traumatized by the relationships around you that have used your personal abuse or used your pain against you, used your emotional regulative reaction on the abuse against you, it's very important to realize that one, yes, you can go no contact. That's the ideal, and that's the respective thing for you to do. But two, even through that, they would still want to make sure that they are trying to control a narrative of you based on the silence. So just be aware of the type of people that you associate yourself with, and also be aware of people who just refuse. They just refuse to be honest. They refuse to apologize. They refuse to take accountability, and they refuse to just own up. Listen, I'm sorry. They refuse to do that, but however, they're still lurking in the shadows. They're still watching you. They're still trying to be on your social media, trying to see who's in your area, who's in your story, who's engaging. That is the control that they want. They want to try and control your ultimate social reality and identity of how you're still being viewed towards the public because they could not have access or control to you personally. I think this is very important to talk about, and I'm specifically talking about this from a personal experience where you'd often have family members who do this when they know that they can no longer control you or they can no longer hide how much abuse they've done to you. So what they'll do is they partner up with somebody like a friend. I've also had a childhood friend who'd do this, who'd use my lowest experience or my lowest moment of support and use that and weaponize that to start creating a false narrative of why I do not deserve support. This is what has happened to me, and throughout that engagement, they will start recruiting, or she started recruiting, in my experience, started recruiting everybody who had a slight dislike towards me and would start recruiting the reasons for why you should not support Bianca. It's because of A, because of B, because of C. And that within itself, whether or not I was still engaged with her, I'm going to speak about this in my next videos, whether or not I was engaged with that friend still, her silence was used as a form of extracting my pain, using it for her gain, and creating a false narrative and identity around my shame. So it's very important to realize that when you're in a vulnerable state and when you're in a state of needing support through the breakup, through the heartache, through the betrayal, realize that even when you go no contact with these mentally disturbed people, realize that if they cannot process the rejection, because we all get rejected, I just need everybody to understand that this is a human experience. We all get rejected. We get rejected from jobs. We get rejected from loans. We get rejected from friends. We get rejected from girlfriends, boyfriends. Rejection is a point of experience that every human being has gone through. It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have, and how light or how beautiful you are. Rejection is a form of experience we all experience. But the point of that is a normal person will take their losses and heal and realize maybe in the future that that rejection was protection or that rejection was a redirection to something way better, you know. But most people, and this is where maturity happens, if these people had not given themselves a mature life lesson to go through, this is where mentally disturbed, immature, insecure people start reacting from a demonic, obsessive place and stance. Is where instead of letting you be and letting you run free and letting you live your life like a normal human being, the obsession of trying to control you because they cannot have you or because you do not want them is it needs to be studied. It needs to be studied, and we need to have medical attention to that, because it's really important to realize how um how crazy people can get to a point of illusion and confusion around the fact that people have the right to live their life with or without you. There's no one who has control over you, and there's no one who should ever have control over you. It just needs to be stated that way. So, yeah, I just want to speak about fabricating these unspoken narratives, right? And this is an unspoken narrative. We know that when you speak up for yourself, you know, things change. And we also know that when you don't speak up for yourself, things also stay the same, right? It's very important to realize how even when people do not do anything and they remain silent to your pain, that is a cognitive choice that people have done to use against you. So when we're talking about that ghosting, going flat, like just speak, not just saying anything. That is a part of you sitting and wondering, did I do something? Did I go wrong? That within itself is also a psychological understanding of, oh, somebody is trying to change my perspective of myself or my image or my self esteem. So recognize these patterns so that you give it no authority, you give it no power and autonomy towards your identity. One thing that I've done, and I think I will share in other videos, is once I realized, for instance, what my friend did, or not even friend, what this mentally ill childhood friend did, and also what parents and family members did, is I observed it not from an emotional perspective. I observed it really from a psychological perspective. And I literally understood that they need help. They need the support. And the healthier support is the honesty to realize that you're just detrimental to society. You are, if we can talk about that silent control factor of a narcissist, that is a plague. And that is the same plague that allows apartheid to happen or allows racism to continue, because nobody decides to say anything. You can see it happen. You can see the discrimination. You can see the humiliation. You can see the isolation, but yet you keep quiet. And so when we really dismantle how that creates a false narrative on a people, on genders, on race, and nobody is saying anything about that tactic of what is used as silent control, it's very, very, very sickening, and it's very sad to know that this is how the world sometimes operates. through the fact that nobody says anything, even though they know what is done is wrong. So if you've experienced this, please let me know in the comments and how you've also dealt with this. Also know that, yeah, there will be videos more about this. Yeah, just to realize that it has no autonomy, number one. Never give it autonomy. Just realize that these are the kind of tactics that are being used when, you know, people realize they've done you wrong and they no longer know how to engage with you. And also, too, it's very, very important to still live your life, but keep tabs to who is trying to monitor you at certain times in your life, who's trying to check who's engaging with you, whether social media or physically or your everyday life. It's also important to realize that you actually can not just report this, but you can actually report this as character of defamation. So, for me, for instance, they are very lucky that I did not sue them for this idea, and not even, it's not an idea, it's an actual court of law. You can sue somebody for character of defamation for what they do, and realize that it's unlawful to keep obsessing and stalking people. Also, just realize that, yeah, you have the power. You have the power because you have chosen through communication that you do not want anything to do with that person. It is up to that person to realize they need to leave you alone. And if they don't leave you alone, there's always consequences. Another thing, while you're in this position and while you're going through this, it's always pray. Pray. There is power in prayer and there's power in clarity, because sometimes even those around you are filled with insanity. Even those who act like they want the best for you are part of that silent control narrative, and they're also watching they're watching to see how you react, so they can say, oh no, she's really crazy. We need to take her to a psychiatric hospital. Or, no, we're doing all our best for her, but they're instilling fear towards you by saying that you're panicking, you're overreacting. Those are same words that will be used when you are processing the trauma of what has been done to you. So I hope this video helped. Let me know once again if you want videos like this to be done so that we can all start healing from these mentally ill people who like to consider other people mentally ill as a means of controlling their narrative, their situation through psychological abuse and silence. And I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.